How is it possible for two particles separated by light years to affect each other instantly? And why do some theories suggest that time doesn't flow, but that everything is already written? Maybe these two ideas aren't so different. Maybe the mystery of quantum entanglement has less to do with distance and more with how we understand time. If you enjoyed our episodes on reality shift about the block universe and entanglement, stick around. Today we're going to connect both worlds in a way you might not have considered. And if you haven't seen them, we invite you to check them out. You can use the links you see on the screen. What if what seems impossible to us today is only impossible from our temporal perspective? First, let's remember the basics. The block universe proposes that past, present, and future coexist in a fixed structure. From outside of time, there is no change, only a distribution of already determined events. On the other hand, quantum entanglement suggests that two particles can share the same state, even when they are light years apart. When one is measured, the other reacts instantly. So far, they seem like two separate phenomena, but both point to a common idea. Reality does not behave as we think it should. In our experience, events happen in time sequentially. But in the quantum world, that order doesn't seem so unchangeable. In some experiments, like the delayed choice experiment, a decision made later seems to influence an earlier result. This suggests that the future can affect the past, at least from a quantum perspective. Now imagine that entanglement doesn't happen, but is already inscribed as part of the total architecture of the universe, a pattern that doesn't form in time, but exists outside of time. In the block universe, there is no wave function collapse. There is only a total configuration that contains all possible states, and our observations are limited to one trajectory. From the inside, we see separate events. From the outside, we might see invisible connections. In this framework, what we call entanglement could be a structural property of the block. There is no instantaneous transmission of information, because there is nothing to transmit. It's all already there. It's as if two pages of a book reflect each other, not because one influences the other, but because the story already connected them from the beginning. Entanglement, then, does not violate relativity. It simply doesn't need to travel through space-time, because there is no travel. There is structural simultaneity. The idea that time only flows in one direction is a product of our conscious perception. Physics, in its most fundamental form, does not impose a mandatory arrow of time. Physicists like John Cramer with his transactional interpretation, or Yakir Aharonov with his two-state formalism, explore a universe where effects can be conditioned by future causes. In that framework, the correlations between particles do not depend on a present that decides, but on a balance between what was and what will be. What if entanglement is just the visible manifestation of that timeless balance? Maybe it's not physics that imposes a temporal flow, but our consciousness. For a conscious observer, time flows because that's how we interpret information. But quantum physics suggests that before measurement, states are in superposition. It is observation that defines an actual reality. In a block universe, that means each observation doesn't create reality, but rather selects a trajectory within the pre-existing block. So, entanglement would not be action or reaction, but pure structural coherence, chosen from the perspective of an observer traveling through time. Quantum entanglement has been called spooky, impossible, magical. But if we accept that time doesn't flow but is just another dimension, maybe what we see isn't magic, but a deep geometry of reality. And you, what do you think? Is entanglement a clue that we live in an already written universe? Or do we need an even bigger revolution to understand it? Leave your comment, subscribe to Reality Shift, and share this video with anyone who has ever wondered if what we call reality is just a well-structured illusion.